Hi crafty people. Wait. Hi witchcrafty people. Today we are taking a look into my grimoire. So here she is. This is the Black Midori Traveler's Notebook that I use for a grimoire. I just house all of my personal, spiritual, kind of witchy practicing in here. It's a nice place to keep everything. I have 3 little books in here and a folder. It's kind of hard to see, but I have a grimoire, a little workbook, a folder, and a kind of a garden journal and green grimoire. That's what I call it. But we'll look at all of those. I keep this little Pilot G2 pen right clipped here on the side. It fits nicely against like the profile because it doesn't kind of stick out that much. The pages are right up against this leather though, like you can see they're exposed to the outside. I wish this was a little bit wider. They do make them a little bit wider, the faux dories, but like I said, this is the original Midori. I just ordered a brown one because I love it so much. This thing has been through hell and back with me. I just love it so much. So I keep my little pen clipped right in here. And then this is the black elastic that kind of encloses the book, and you can see it starting to wear. I just love the texture on the Midoris. They're so beautiful. Come on, focus. Focus on the texture. Yeah, beautiful. So it's all scratched up and it's beautiful. You can see the wear and the tear and the stains and the love and the travel. I can't wait for this to get even more broken in because the Midori leather is a little bit more stiff than some of the other faux dories, but that's kind of why I like it. It's sturdy, it's beautiful, I love it. And then down here I have this little charm. This pen is gonna mess with the focus. I have this little charm, and it's just a little crystal that I tied to the bottom little bookmark piece. It's this beautiful crystal that I keep down here. It's really pretty when it refracts in the light. And then I have this little moon and star chime down here as well. I may add another bookmark because, like I said, I have 3 books in here and only 1 bookmark. So if I add another bookmark, I'll have a bookmark for each book, which would be pretty helpful. So let's get inside. Let's see how I set this little baby up. Like I said, I have 3 books inside of here. The first one is the grimoire. I also have a little witch workbook. I have a folder that I made, and then I have a garden journal and green grimoire, which is just what I call it. I don't know what it's supposed to be called, but you can see it's got the leather on the inside, and I'm not sure what I used this for before, but you can see that there is a lot of glitter in here. I kind of love it. I don't mind glitter, like I love it. It's just awesome because when I open the book, it's all like sparkly and all like galaxy and beautiful. So like I said, this first book is my grimoire. This is a white notebook from Recollections. I got these at Michael's. It's just a plain white notebook like this. It comes in 3-pack. There's only 28 pages in each book, so there's not that many pages in each of these booklets, but I used the white one for the first journal, and then my garden journal I used one of the craft ones, which are just really cute. Same thing, there's not a lot of pages, but the pages are pretty good quality. Like the watercolor doesn't bleed, and I haven't had any problems with any of my pens bleeding really. So this first book is just one of those white blank page books. I covered the front and back cover with black acrylic paint, and then I also painted some Mod Podge on it just to give it a little bit more, make it a little bit more sturdy, and black because I like all black everything. Let's see if we can come in a little bit. Beautiful. So I just labeled this Volume 1 of the grimoire. I just drew this wonky little title plate on here. And this first page, I am writing out a consecration and kind of warning prelude to this book. That's what I want to put here. I want it to be perfect, and I want to take the time to consecrate this book and make it really special. But I just have kind of random important things to the practice to me. Like, every book's different, everything is completely personal. This is just a poem I found on Pinterest. It just spoke to me. These are the 13 goals, and you can see a lot of watercolor. Like I said, this pen bleeds, so there are some spots that aren't as pretty as others, but I don't really care. I love the watercolor and everything. This next page is just a piece of black construction paper that I literally sewed in with embroidery floss. Like, you can see, it's just knotted in right here and right here. Like, it's pretty loose and floppy, but it's just so beautiful. I use white gel pen to do the full moon phases, and I just drew a full moon with some gel pen and some white colored pencil. I just love it. Like I said, there's not that many pages in these little recollections books, so I'm adding like a little extra piece on every single page, which has been really nice. So I have the moon phases right here, and I personally believe that your grimoire should be handwritten, so that's why I've taken the time to make all of these pages, you know, add these bind extra pages into my book, just make it as special as possible. I have the 2017 full moon schedule, candle colors, and just kind of color resemblance in general. I drew these little candles. This is kind of the directions, and their correspondence, like their color correspondence, their element correspondence, all that. This little Project Life card I just kind of added in here with some tape, and it slips in behind the binding, and the other half of it is right here. So kind of towards the end of the book, you can see that they're connected. They just slid in behind these pages, which is kind of nice about this style of book, like the staple bound books. You can just slide things in between, and it works really well. And then this is a page for the Hummingbird Nectar that I use in my garden, as well as the process and the incantation, and just the whole Hummingbird Nectar page. And I just did watercolors, and it's so beautiful. I love it so much. And then that's kind of the last of the completed pages, just kind of planning out the next page. This was a little page in a book called Magical Things. I just ripped it out. It's got this really cool image of the moon, and on the back there's the explanation of how to remove warts. And then this is kind of what magic is to me, just being with nature, connecting with nature. And so I just sewed in this page as well and used some masking tape to make sure it was secure. I love masking tape. I have masking tape in all of my journals. I just love the way it looks, and I love the way it feels. So there's a lot of masking tape. And this little thing, it's so cute. This is the Zodiac Calendar, so I just broke it down. And then on the back, there's the Zodiac symbols along with their planetary correspondence. And then this little thing, it opens up. It's like a little wallet booklet thing. I have the planetary symbols along with their tree, stone, flower, and animal correspondence, kind of in like a chart like this, which is just awesome. I love this little piece. And I just use black construction paper, and then I Mod Podged the whole thing so that it's kind of like a little book on its own, which I really, really love. I love the symbols. It just looks beautiful in the black and white. And again, this just says making magic happen. I thought that was pretty. It was just a little Project Life card. I just did this little hand on the back, and then this blue flower that I had pressed and enclosed it in some like vellum paper, and then just kind of taped it in again with masking tape because I love masking tape. And blue flowers are magical, so once I have stuff on these pages, it'll look a lot better. But I just put this in here because I couldn't wait. And I may add more pages to this book because there's not that many pages in this book. Like, I want it to be a little bit more chunky and substantial. I want a lot of information in here, so we'll see. I'll definitely have updates on my grimoire. I do want to talk about my practice on this channel. I'm just starting out though, so I'm still finding my way. I have this little envelope right here, and I just keep the Catholic story, like the story of Jesus is in here. I was raised Catholic. There's kind of a tense history between the church and witchcraft, but I was raised Catholic. It also has the prayers of the rosary on here. So I don't know, it's a practice, it's how I was raised. I don't necessarily believe in everything still, but I put it in here because it's still like a spiritual and a faith thing. So it's just chilling in there. And then this next book, woo, finally, is the little witch workbook that I created. I just made this out of black construction paper and a bunch of grid paper. I just folded my grid paper in half. Where is it? Oh, right here. You can see I literally sewed it with embroidery thread. Like, this thing is so wonky. This was the first book I had ever made. Next time it'll look a little bit better, but I think for now it works awesome. Like, I was pretty proud of this little book since it was the first one I made. And I just wrote Workbook on here, volume 1. Again, this is black construction paper, but I covered it with Mod Podge so that it was kind of laminated. It looked a little bit more, I don't know, official, not just like construction paper. So again, masking tape just to kind of reinforce this back spine. And then I filled it with grid paper, and this is just where I do exercises and I take notes. Like, my grimoire is the pretty official, I don't know, that one's more official. This one's kind of for notes and messy, quick practicing. So on the first page I have just a little note section, stuff that I want to look into, mostly books that I want to read. And then I have a few exercises. I actually had a different journal that I had started out with before I transitioned into this Midori, before I had made this little workbook. So I have these activities for sensing energy, and then I'm just going to write about my experiences and how I felt, what I sensed, down here below. This is notes from a book that I was reading. This book is actually Modern Witchcraft Grimoire, which kind of inspired me to move into my Midori. Like I said, I was in a different book before, but I wanted something more personal, so I transitioned into this traveler's notebook, which has just been working perfectly. But this is the book I was reading. I'm about halfway through. You can see it's got watercolor, and I've been loving it and using it and taking notes in it just as much. But these are the notes that I took just on the page. And then down here it's kind of hard to see because it's in pencil, but I was just planning out a page in my grimoire. This is like the planets and their correspondence, and that's what this turned out to be. So I'm still not done. I still have more correspondence for the planets and everything, but we'll get there. This next page I just have connecting with lunar energy. This was going to be another kind of sensing energy exercise, but before I wrote the exercise down, I actually had a full moon. My dogs. I actually had a full moon, so this was just kind of the notes on the full moon. It was not a great one because I had worked till like 10 o'clock that night, so I came home and just did a little ritual, but I just have all the details on the ritual that I performed that night. And then this is just a cute little doodle from my pen pal, and it's purple, and I try and use purple in this book because it's one of my favorite colors, and it's very kind of spiritual, intuitive color. So you can also see it looks dirty, but that's actually sage, because this night I had a sage burn, like I was cleansing and smudging stuff. So I smudged a bunch of sage on this page. And it still smells so good. Like, it smells like a campfire. Like, these ash stains just smell so good. And then again, it's hard to see because it is pencil, but I was just planning out a page in my grimoire. This was the Hummingbird Nectar page, so I just have my recipe and what I wanted to write down, and then I was able to transfer it into my pretty grimoire, the recipe and what I wanted to write down, and it just looks a lot better. A lot cuter. And then just little notes and little things that I wanted to write down. So this is just graph paper. It's awesome. I love it so far. Next, I have this little file folder that I made from a Target dollar spot file folder, and I just made a Midori kind of folder with the black and white stripes. It just looks so beautiful. It fits in here perfectly. And on this side there's kind of a larger pocket. This is another page from that Magical Things book. I just want to put this in here because it talks about like witch sticks, if you know, like finding water with witch sticks, kind of like that. And it just has this beautiful oak tree, and I love oak trees. They're special to me. I have a huge one in my backyard. This side I just have some more little things, some post-it notes. I probably don't need this many post-it notes. There we go. But in the black and white stripes again. And that's just like that. So I made the folder a little bit more narrow than the rest of the books just because the Midori, they kind of sit right on the edge of the leather. I wish they were a little bit more narrow just so I could make this a little bit more chunky and I wouldn't have to worry about the edges of the paper getting messed up. But like I said, I don't mind. I want these books to look worn and everything, but this one's a little bit more narrow because I'm able to kind of fit my pen perfectly right on here, and that's what helps it lie so flat and make sure it doesn't stick out and get caught on anything if it goes in and out of my bag. The last one is just this little garden journal. I haven't done much gardening since I set up this grimoire, but I did make this gorgeous book. Like I said, I started with one of these craft notebooks from Recollections, and I just watercolored the front with some black watercolor, did this little hand-drawn book title thing. I didn't really know what to call it, so I did garden journal and green grimoire just to house all of my plants and my like herbs and my nature stuff. Like the grimoire up front has just kind of general witch stuff, and then I wanted a special book just for plants and nature because that's so special to me. So I modified this book a little bit. I added a bunch of grid paper into the front, and again I just stitched it in with embroidery floss, but it's pretty secure in there. These ones are a little bit more secure than my first book that I made. But I just have grid paper in here. Like I said, I haven't done much gardening since I started this book, but I'm just gonna keep a garden log in here, like when I planted things, when I composted, when I did anything in the garden, because I do have a pretty nice sized lot, plus chickens, plus 2 dogs, plus 2 cats, so I do kind of have a mini farm here, and I just like a place to keep track of that. So next year I'll have more of a garden. This year I was just way too busy, so I have these grid pages so I can keep a garden log. So on the craft pages I'm just going to keep all of my herbal recipes and herbal information, plant information, tree information, anything that has to do with kind of nature and plants in general. This little recipe right here is for mint extract, and I've been brewing this mint for probably a month or 2 now. It's kind of hard to see. It's probably not going to focus on the little bottle, but you can see there's mint inside here and vodka. So this has been brewing for a little bit. It's probably ready to strain. I just don't have little bottles to put it in, but once I figure out how to make this all pretty, I'll transfer this recipe onto the actual page. It's just in here with a post-it note right now. And then this is my favorite part of the book. I can't believe it. I added a ton, like there's so many pieces of tracing paper. The tracing paper is really thin, so I was able to add a lot of tracing paper. And what I've been doing is Mod Podging my pressed leaves onto here. So I wish I had shown more for this video because I have this huge dictionary. Hold on, I gotta show you. So I have this huge dictionary that I kind of keep under my seat at my little craft desk right here, and I've been pressing flowers. Here's a little rose petal that my boyfriend gave me. So I just have a bunch of pressed flowers in here waiting to be Mod Podged onto the... Okay, this is looking bad. I have other plants, I promise. Okay, here we go. Here's a rose from a wedding that we went to. I just wanted to say that because he looks so handsome. This is my prized possession right now. It's a dragonfly wing. I hope that's showing up. There was a beautiful dragonfly that had passed away, and he was in perfect condition, so I took his wing and I'm gonna honor him. It's just so beautiful. I love it. So I have a bunch of pressed flowers and herbs in here. They're not all marked, so they're kind of hard to find sometimes, but I have this huge dictionary full of pressed flowers that I plan on Mod Podging onto here. And even though they're Mod Podged in here, like, the mint still smells. Like, it smells so cool, and it just looks beautiful on this tracing paper. I love it so much. I love it, I love it, I love it. And I have a little rosemary. And so that's what I'm going to use the tracing paper for. And then I have more craft sheets. Like I said, I may add more pages to this journal as well, just because there's not that many pages in here, but we'll see. Like, I labeled them all volume 1 so I can archive them and continue with different volumes. So we'll see how it goes, but that's the end of the book. There's more glitter on the back side. Just has the elastic closure right here, and then to make sure that they don't stick out too much, kind of got to push them in, and then they just wrap up nicely in here. It's so beautiful. Even though I'm not someone who really uses a wand, it is kind of useful. I did make this from a wisteria branch that I found in my backyard. I cut it, I sanded it, I put oils on it, I carved this little pentagram onto the bottom, I wrapped it with twine, I wrapped it with metal, and then I also have this charm on here. And then in my other journal, I haven't been able to transfer any of it into here yet, but when I did like wax strips or wax seals, I used this to press into the wax and leave my little seal. So I like keeping that with me on the wand. I have this little vial with rosemary leaves. I may change this into like a charm or an amulet or something like that, but for right now, like, if you take just a dab of this onto your finger and then press it onto the third eye, it just smells like rosemary. It's moon water, so I love it so much. I just keep that on my wand. It just helps me. Like I said, I'm not somebody who really uses a wand, but it is nice for directing energy, and I draw in the dirt with it. But what I like is that it just kind of slips right on here, and the little like metal twine part keeps it from really sliding around too much. So if I do take this with me to the lake or to the park or something where I do some reading or some like leaf collecting and plant collecting, it just kind of sits right there perfectly. So thank you guys so much for watching this little initial setup video of how I set up my grimoire using the Black Midori Traveler's Notebook. I will probably have an updated version once there's a little bit more magic and a little bit more love in this little guy. So be sure to subscribe, and in the meantime, don't forget to like and comment. I'll also have my email down in the description if you guys want to send me a private message. I know practicing and spiritual stuff can be kind of personal, so if you want to send me a message, I would love to hear from you. But until next time, guys, stay magical.